Hi everyone, welcome to Module 3. In Module 3, we're going to be continuing on with the same period that we just focused on, with the national period and constitutional crisis. And the period will be from 1783 to 1861. You'll notice that there's a lot of similarities in terms of the foundations of a lot of key terms that we've been seeing in our economy that have been building, and it's been established during this time period. Now for this week, you're going to be reading chapters 9 through 12, and you're going to have quiz number 2. It's just going to be the same setup as you had last week. So you're going to have 20 questions that are going to be multiple choice and or true-false questions. Let's go to some of the summaries of the chapters and what are some of the important parts of the chapters that might be helpful for you. And I wrote this up to maybe help you with some of the concepts that you might be having. Now, in chapter 9, we're going to be looking at the agriculture. And agriculture is a very critical component or industry that our economy really focused on. And agriculture really started to boom because it was created the subsistence level, sorry about that, which meant that people had to fend for themselves. So they had to plant the products to help them be able to grow as an economy. Now today we don't really think of agriculture or the agriculture sector as a very positive sector for economic growth. But it's going to be turning around because food is going to be a very critical component of our economy. The other thing that we're going to talk about is production levels. And you see these terms right here, increasing returns to scale. When you look at increasing returns of scale, you're looking at an economy that's growing or starting to grow, or a firm that's growing, and when they get larger and larger, their per unit costs decline, which is a very positive thing for an economy. Because a firm wants to get larger, and when they're able to get larger, they're able to produce at lower costs and help increase their profits. We're going to also look at the maximization of firms and how firms try to maximize profit. In chapter 10, we focused on the debate of slavery. And this started with the role of capital. And capital is ways to produce goods and services, like machinery. You'll notice that there's a lot of components when we look at labor versus capital. And a lot of firms will want to employ more capital because it costs less money than labor. Labor is the largest component of our economy right now, and it costs a lot of money to employ different people in the industry. So that'll be very important to focus on. In chapter 11, you'll notice we're going to start looking at the early industrial period. And this was a very important economic growth period for our economy, because this is when things started to take off and when we started to compete in a global economy. And competing in a global economy is very important for production. And production of certain products really can carry a lot of weight as people started to take the U.S. much more seriously in the global economy. So some key terms that we looked at in this week is labor productivity. And productivity is measured by how much a worker can produce per hour. Another key component that we're going to be looking at is input. And the inputs are looking at the labor and capital trade-off that we're facing in our economy. So that's another key component. In chapter 12, we started to look at the financial system. And you'll notice this is when we started to have the backing of the gold standard. We started to look at banking, inflation, business cycles, and the role of money. Now, money started to take many different forms, but you'll notice the key developments of the U.S. financial system and how participation in international transactions took off during this period. And rapid growth occurred because of now this lending instrument known as banks. And banks were very critical to the role of economic growth. So that's what we're going to be focused on in the chapters that we're looking at this week. So make sure to focus on the quiz. Have the quiz completed by Saturday night. If you have any questions on course concepts, please let me know, but I look forward to your effort this week.